Wine feels elegant, a glass with dinner, a toast at Christmas. But for older Australians, that beautiful ruby pour could be hiding arsenic, pesticides, and undisclosed sulfites that spike blood pressure and clash with common medications. Today, we are exposing 11 wine brands you must stop buying immediately, and the 2 that are actually safe. Coming in at number 11, we have got Yellowtail. Yellowtail is everywhere. Bottle shops, supermarkets, airport lounges, even petrol stations. The bright yellow label with the kangaroo is unmistakable. Australians reach for it because it feels familiar, affordable, and proudly local. But familiar does not mean safe. Yellowtail produces over 12 million cases annually, making it one of the largest wine operations in the world. At that industrial scale, quality control becomes nearly impossible. Independent testing has raised questions about heavy metal content in mass-produced Australian wines, including arsenic and lead. The soil composition in certain wine regions naturally contains higher mineral levels, which transfer directly to grapes during the growing season. Without rigorous testing and filtration, those minerals end up in your glass with every pour. A 2015 study tested over 1,300 bottles of wine and found that nearly a quarter had arsenic levels above the safe drinking water standard. When production scales to 12 million cases, testing every batch becomes economically impossible, and seniors bear the greatest risk because arsenic accumulates over time. Beyond heavy metals, Yellowtail has faced criticism for high sulfite content. The preservatives that keep wine shelves stable for months can trigger headaches, flushing, and respiratory issues in sensitive individuals. Seniors taking multiple medications are especially vulnerable to sulfite sensitivity because your body processes these compounds differently as you age. Your kidneys filter less efficiently. Your liver metabolizes more slowly. What your body handled easily at 40 becomes a genuine burden at 65. Open a bottle of Yellowtail Shiraz and examine it closely. The color is deep purple, almost opaque. The aroma is fruity, maybe slightly jammy, but beneath that accessible flavor profile, you cannot see the sulfites working to prevent spoilage, the potential heavy metals from mineral-rich soil, or the additives smoothing out inconsistent batches. The kangaroo promises adventure. The reality is industrial production at a scale that inevitably compromises quality and safety. Every glass is a gamble with your health. At number 10, we have Jacob's Creek. Jacob's Creek built its reputation as Australia's wine ambassador to the world. The brand evokes images of the Barossa Valley, golden sunlight, and generational winemaking traditions. Older Australians remember when that name meant something special. Your parents probably served it at dinner parties with pride. But Jacob's Creek today is not the small family operation of decades past. It is a global industrial machine owned by Pernod Ricard, one of the largest beverage conglomerates on Earth. When production scales to meet international demand across dozens of countries, corners get cut. The grapes may come from wherever they can be sourced cheaply. Quality control at that volume is nearly impossible to maintain consistently. Laboratory analyses of mass-market wines have consistently found arsenic levels that should concern anyone drinking them regularly. Arsenic is the same toxic heavy metal linked to cancer, heart disease, and kidney damage. For seniors with compromised kidney function, arsenic does not flush out easily. It builds up over time, accumulating in your tissues. And over years of casual evening glasses, it could be doing damage you cannot see or feel until it is too late. Pour a glass of Jacob's Creek and hold it to the light. Does it seem slightly brownish at the edges? That is oxidation, a sign the wine has been improperly stored. Those bottles sit on supermarket shelves under fluorescent lights, sometimes for months before you buy them. Light exposure degrades wine compounds and can accelerate chemical changes that affect both taste and safety. The wine you trust with dinner may have been damaged long before you opened it. Now at number 9, we have Lindemans. Lindemans has been a household name in Australia for over 180 years. The heritage dates back to 1843. Your grandparents probably had Lindemans at their wedding reception. That generational trust runs deep in Australian families. But heritage does not guarantee safety. Lindemans mass-market wines, the ones you find on supermarket shelves rather than the premium reserve bottles, are produced at massive scale far removed from the craft winemaking that built the reputation. The affordable Lindemans bottles are manufactured for volume, not for your health. The corporate owners are concerned with shareholder returns, not whether your blood pressure spikes after a glass. There is also the issue of pesticide residues. Conventional grape farming relies heavily on chemical treatments to prevent mold, insects, and disease. Australian vineyards battle powdery mildew, downy mildew, botrytis, and a dozen other threats. Each treatment adds another chemical layer that can persist through fermentation and bottling, ending up in your final product. For seniors with compromised immune systems or liver function, pesticide exposure adds another layer of risk. Here's a statistic that should concern you. The average commercially produced wine contains up to 76 different additives that do not need to be disclosed on the label. You would never accept that from your food. Why accept mystery ingredients from your wine? The double standard is staggering when you think about it carefully. Coming in at number 8, we have Wolf Blass. Wolf Blass markets itself as the choice of winners. Gold medals at international competitions, premium positioning on bottle shop shelves, bold flavors for discerning palates. The distinctive black and gold labels suggest quality and prestige. Older Australians often buy Wolf Blass for special occasions, trusting the brand's award-winning reputation. But that prestige masks some troubling realities. Wolf Blass is owned by Treasury Wine Estates, another massive corporate operation producing millions of bottles annually. The same contamination concerns that plague other industrial producers apply here. Premium pricing does not mean premium safety. You are paying extra for marketing and metals, not for cleaner production. Wolf Blass wines are known for their bold, fruit-forward profiles. What you might not realize is that winemakers achieve that consistent flavor through processing aids and additives that are never disclosed on the label. Oak chips instead of proper barrel aging that would take years. Mega purple coloring to deepen the red hue and make it look more impressive. Added tannins to create that mouth feel you expect from expensive wine. You think you are tasting traditional winemaking. You are actually tasting flavor technology, engineered in a laboratory to fool your palate. What was the last wine brand that truly disappointed you? Drop it in the comments below. I want to know what you have experienced. At number 7, we have Penfolds Coonoonga Hill. Penfolds is Australian royalty. The name commands respect among wine lovers worldwide. Grange sells for hundreds of dollars a bottle and is collected by enthusiasts as an investment. So when Penfolds puts their legendary name on Coonoonga Hill, consumers trust it implicitly. The legacy promises quality. But Coonoonga Hill is not Grange. It is not even close. It is a mass-market brand designed to hit price points, not quality standards. The Penfolds name carries weight, but Coonoonga Hill wines are produced at enormous scale, with grapes sourced from wherever they can be found cheaply. Different vineyards each year. Different regions depending on supply. Different standards than the flagship wines. The betrayal cuts deep because the Penfolds name carries such emotional weight for Australians. We remember when that name meant something. Our fathers served Penfolds at milestone celebrations. But you are paying for the prestige of a name while getting industrial wine production wrapped in heritage packaging. Independent studies have found that lower-priced wines consistently carry higher contamination risks. The economics are simple. Safer production costs more. Heavy metal testing costs money. Sourcing clean grapes costs money. Budget wine hits its price point by skipping the steps that protect you. When you buy Coonoonga Hill, you are buying the Penfolds name while accepting budget wine risks that would concern you if you fully understood them. Number 6 is Hardy's. Hardy's has been part of Australian wine culture since 1853. The brand built its name on accessible, everyday wines that families could enjoy without breaking the budget. That promise of affordable quality drew generations of loyal customers. But affordable should not mean dangerous. Hardy's wines have drawn scrutiny for inconsistent quality. Some bottles taste crisp and clean, while others from the same vintage have an off-putting chemical aftertaste. That inconsistency is a sign of production problems and quality control failures. When you cannot trust consistency, you cannot trust safety. The friendly branding suggests approachable winemaking. The reality is mass production at scale, with grapes sourced from multiple regions and blended without transparency. You have no idea what vineyard those grapes came from. You do not know what pesticides were used. You cannot tell how long the wine sat in questionable storage before reaching your glass. Open a bottle and take a deep breath before pouring. Sometimes you will detect a sharp, almost chemical note beneath the fruit. That is your warning, sign that something is off. That is volatile acidity from rushed fermentation. Or it is sulfites working overtime to mask underlying faults. But the price tag is so appealing that most people pour anyway, trusting a label that may have already betrayed their trust and their health. If this is helping you stay safer at the shops, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposés. Coming in at number 5, we have De Bortoli. De Bortoli markets itself as a family-owned success story. Italian heritage meeting Australian terroir. The romantic narrative suggests artisanal care and generational wisdom passed down through the decades. Older Australians appreciate that story because it reminds them of how wine used to be made. But De Bortoli operates at industrial scale now. The family story is marketing. The production reality is massive volumes moving through facilities designed for efficiency, not for your well-being. When production scales that large, contamination, risks multiply. More batches mean more opportunities for problems. More volume means less oversight per bottle. De Bortoli wines have been included in broader industry analyses that found concerning levels of additives and processing aids across Australian mass-market wines. The smooth, approachable flavors that make these wines easy to drink may be masking more than you realize. For seniors with existing heart conditions, undisclosed additives create unpredictable risks. Your doctor asks what you ate and drank. You say wine. But you cannot list the additives because you do not know what they are. Picture yourself pouring a glass of De Bortoli. The color seems consistent, the taste familiar batch after batch. But that very consistency should concern you. Natural wine varies from vintage to vintage. Perfect consistency suggests intervention, additives, processing aids, technology smoothing out what nature creates differently each year. Real wine has character that changes. Industrial wine has uniformity that deceives. Stick around. The solution comes at the very end, and it could change how you choose wine forever. Number 4 is Brown Brothers. Brown Brothers built a reputation for innovation and quality in the King Valley. The family name suggested integrity, experimentation, and care. Australians trusted them for reliable table wines and interesting varietals you could not find elsewhere. But that innovative spirit has been replaced by corporate calculation. Brown Brothers now produces at volumes that dwarf the family operation of decades past. The King Valley story is heritage marketing, nostalgia that sells bottles. The current reality is sourcing grapes wherever economics dictate and blending for consistency, not quality. The bottom line trumps tradition every time. For seniors managing diabetes or pre-diabetes, hidden sugars in wine can spike blood glucose levels without warning. Many budget wines contain added sugars, a practice called dosage that winemakers use to round out harsh tannins. A single glass could contain more sugar than you would expect from a savory beverage. The label does not tell you this. Australian wine labeling laws are shockingly lax compared to food standards. What would be illegal for food is perfectly acceptable for wine. You deserve to know what you are putting into your body, but the industry has decided otherwise. Your right to information ends where their convenience begins. The Brown Brothers label shows the historic family winery in the valley. Inside the bottle is industrial production designed to maximize profit, not protect your health. The gap between the image and the reality grows wider every year. Ever noticed how these big brands never show you inside their actual production facilities? Strange, isn't it? At number 3, we have McGuigan. McGuigan won the title of World's Most Awarded Winery. The accolades are prominently displayed on every bottle. Those gold medals suggest excellence and expert approval. They suggest that professionals have tested and approved what you are drinking. They suggest you can trust this wine with confidence. But wine awards are often more about marketing than safety. The judging criteria focus on flavor, aroma, and appearance. Nobody tests for arsenic at a wine competition. Nobody measures sulfite levels or screens for pesticide residues. Nobody checks what additives went into that smooth finish. A gold medal tells you the wine tasted good to judges on one particular day. It tells you nothing about whether it is safe for someone on blood pressure medication or heart medication to drink regularly over months and years. McGuigan produces at massive scale, and that volume requires consistency. Consistency at scale requires additives and processing aids. Additives mean undisclosed ingredients entering your body with every glass. Those medals celebrate flavor, not transparency. They reward taste, not honesty. The wine industry congratulates itself while keeping you in the dark about what you are actually consuming. Here is what most people never learn. Wine labeling laws in Australia are far less strict than food labeling laws. Wineries are not required to disclose all ingredients or additives used in production. So that award-winning McGuigan blend sitting on your shelf right now, you genuinely do not know everything that went into it. The medals tell you nothing about what you are actually consuming with every sip you take. The wine could contain any number of processing aids: egg whites for fining, fish bladder proteins to clarify the liquid, bentonite clay to absorb impurities, oak extract to fake aging, color concentrates to deepen appearance, tartaric acid adjustments for balance, glycerol for body and texture, gum arabic for mouthfeel, copper sulfate to remove odors. None of it appears on the label. None of it gets tested at wine competitions. None of it factors into those gold medals they display so proudly on every bottle they sell. Coming in at number 2, we have Hardy's Stamp. Hardy's Stamp is the budget range designed to compete with the cheapest imports flooding Australian markets. The price point is the selling point. Seniors on fixed incomes reach for Stamp because every dollar matters when you are living on the pension. The pension only stretches so far, and you still want a glass of wine with dinner like you always have. That simple pleasure should not come with hidden health risks. But there is a reason Stamp costs what it does. The wine is made from surplus grapes. Whatever vineyards could not sell to premium producers ends up here as a last resort. Quality varies wildly from batch to batch, with no consistency whatsoever. Some bottles are acceptable. Others would embarrass the producers if their names were attached. That is why the Hardy's name sits in small text while Stamp dominates the label. They are distancing themselves from their own product. The economics are brutally simple and unavoidable. The cheapest wines almost always carry the highest contamination risks because quality costs money at every single step. Heavy metal testing costs money that would raise prices beyond what budget shoppers will pay. Sourcing clean grapes from reputable vineyards with good agricultural practices costs money. Proper quality control at every stage of production costs money. Temperature-controlled storage throughout the entire supply chain costs money. Stamp hits its price point by skipping the steps that protect you. Every corner they cut is a risk they pass on to you without your knowledge or consent. Every dollar they save is a dollar your body spends cleaning up the consequences through organs working overtime. The promise of affordable enjoyment comes with a hidden cost your body cannot afford. That $2 savings means your kidneys are processing compounds that have no place in wine. Your liver is working overtime to filter additives that should never have been there. Your cardiovascular system is dealing with sulfite levels that would be regulated in other products. The bargain is an illusion when you calculate the true price to your health. Do you think the government protects consumers or the wine industry? The evidence suggests the latter. Regulations that would be unacceptable for food somehow remain acceptable for wine. Standards that would trigger recalls in your grocery aisle get a pass in the bottle shop. And coming in at number 1, the worst wine Australians need to stop buying is clean skin wines. Clean skin wines have no brand, no story, no heritage to protect, just a plain label and a rock-bottom price. They appear in bottle shops and supermarkets as the ultimate budget option for price-conscious shoppers looking to stretch every dollar. Seniors stretch their dollars by reaching for these anonymous bottles, trusting that Australian wine laws protect them from anything dangerous. But clean skin wines are the industry's dirty secret that nobody talks about publicly. They are excess stock that producers could not sell through normal channels. They are failed batches that did not meet quality standards for branded products. They are wine that would damage a brand's reputation if anyone knew where it came from. The wineries do not want their names attached to this wine. They strip off the labels and sell it anonymously through distributors who ask no questions. That should tell you everything you need to know about what is actually in that bottle. Because there is no brand reputation at stake, there is no incentive for quality control. These wines can contain whatever the producer wanted to get rid of without damaging their name. Higher sulfite levels to mask faults and off flavors that would otherwise be undrinkable. Processing aids piled on top of processing aids to rescue failed batches that would otherwise be poured down the drain. Grapes from any source, treated with any chemicals, blended without oversight or accountability. Nobody is watching because nobody cares. There is no brand to protect. There is no reputation at stake. There is no executive who will answer uncomfortable questions if something goes wrong. The plain label suggests simplicity and honest value. It suggests that you are paying for wine, not marketing. The reality is far darker. You are drinking the wine no brand wanted to claim as their own. You have absolutely no idea what is in that bottle or where it came from. What vineyard, what region, what vintage, what treatments, what additives. All unknown, all hidden behind that plain label. The contamination risks are highest precisely because nobody is accountable for what ends up in your glass. Here is the final betrayal of trust. You thought you were saving money by being clever with your budget. You thought you found a loophole that let you enjoy wine without the premium prices that others pay. Instead, you may be paying with your health for wine that the industry was ashamed to label with their own names. That anonymous bottle carries risks that branded products at least have some incentive to minimize. When there is no name attached, there is no reason to care about your well-being. When there is no reputation at stake, there is no consequence for cutting every possible corner. Now, we promised you safe options. Here they are. The first actual safe option is Gemtree Organic Wines. Gemtree Wines from McLaren Vale has been certified organic and biodynamic for over 15 years. They farm without synthetic pesticides or chemical fertilizers of any kind. Their vineyards operate as complete ecosystems, prioritizing soil health and biodiversity over industrial efficiency. The McLean family runs the operation with the kind of care that corporate producers abandoned decades ago in pursuit of scale. Every bottle carries certified organic status, verified by independent auditors who actually visit the property and test the products regularly throughout the growing and production seasons. The grapes come from their own estate vineyards, so sourcing is transparent and traceable from vine to bottle. You know exactly where your wine comes from and how it was made at every step of the process. Nothing is hidden because nothing needs to be hidden when you are proud of what you produce. Independent testing has consistently shown organic wines to have significantly lower contaminant levels than conventionally produced alternatives. No arsenic concerns from contaminated soils treated with industrial chemicals. No undisclosed additives pumped in during processing to mask faults. No sulfite levels that trigger reactions in sensitive drinkers or interact badly with common medications. Just clean, honestly made wine that respects your health as much as the environment that produced it. The flavors are pure and true to the grape variety as nature intended. Fruit forward without artificial smoothness, because nothing artificial went into the bottle at any stage. You taste the vineyard, not the processing plant. You taste the season and the terroir, not the laboratory. For older Australians who want to enjoy wine without hidden risks and undisclosed additives, Gemtree delivers exactly what the label promises. Real wine made with real care by real people who stake their family name on every single bottle that leaves their winery. The second recommendation is Yalumba Organic. Yalumba is Australia's oldest family-owned winery, operating continuously since 1849. That is over 170 years of protecting a family name and reputation. Their organic range applies that generational expertise to certified organic production. No synthetic pesticides in the vineyard. No chemical fertilizers in the soil. Just time-tested winemaking principles combined with modern organic certification standards that actually mean something. Yalumba's organic wines undergo rigorous testing for heavy metals and contaminants before they ever leave the winery. Their transparency extends to detailed sourcing information on every bottle you purchase. You can trace your wine back to the specific vineyard blocks where the grapes were grown. You know the soil they came from. You know the practices that tended them. Nothing is anonymous. Everything is accountable. That is what happens when a family name that has survived since 1849 is on the line. For seniors concerned about sulfite sensitivity, Yalumba Organic offers options with significantly lower sulfite levels than conventional wines. The winemaking process minimizes additives while maintaining flavor and stability through careful production rather than chemical intervention. You do not sacrifice taste for safety. You get both because skilled winemakers do not need to rely on additives to make good wine. The result is wine you can trust completely, clean, organic, and honestly made by a family that has everything to lose if they disappoint you. Yalumba Organic proves that safe wine does not have to sacrifice quality or taste. You can have both when winemakers care more about craft than cutting corners. When a company has protected their family name for over 170 years through wars and economic depressions and changing consumer tastes and industry upheavals, they have every incentive to protect your health too. Their reputation depends on your well-being. Their legacy depends on your trust. Their future depends on earning your loyalty through genuine quality and honest transparency, not empty marketing tricks. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.